that first couple calls, I was the last one to speak. I would like just sit there with you're muted on Zoom and everyone's just staring at each other in the cameras. But then I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. Or if something did come up, and I'm just like, no, I'd rather not talk about it, or make it completely just bland, water it down so much that it's like you're not really expressing or saying what you're feeling. You're giving it that watered down version and making yourself feel better. And that's exactly how I went about things for the first couple weeks.
I'm Rachel, and you're listening to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. And this is a little bit of a different voice to beginning. And for those of you who have listened over the years or over the time period, I am Danny, Rachel's husband, and I'm kind of going to be leading this podcast for us today. The biggest thing that Rachel wanted me to talk about was the journey for myself with men's developmental work and what it's been like for me so far. Now, for just thinking of the beginning stages of what is men's work has been almost like the biggest question that I'm still trying to figure out myself. But it is definitely blossomed since I've started a little bit over a year ago. I'd say like kind of give and take a year of me being a part of this. Now, the fears of what I wanted to start with is really the fears of starting this work. Now, I myself, coming from a background of my guy friends, it's been nothing but drinking and insulted jokes and dick jokes and everything of what you can think of that almost like your frat boy lifestyle, with my guy friends. And that's just kind of how I've always thought men's, you hold back tears, you talk shit to each other, and there's no such thing as crying, unless if you're just like, unless in the drunken moments, it just doesn't make sense to really understand and like express feelings, say what you're feeling. And also when it comes to women, being with women and not really expressing feelings and not knowing what to say to one another, or maybe being overexpressive, and then just the relationship never seems to click. And it's just, you never have that quite open, expressive relationship that is truly just such a blessing to have in the long run that most people don't really even understand. Now, the biggest thing for me was getting introduced to men's work, and through Rachel herself, being a part of Sex and Love Co. She already had the inside track. And was already starting to do her work. And the people that she was talking to and meeting, and that she was already so far light years ahead of me. And that's where it was almost like just like I was curious. I was curious on what it tended to be like, and what these retreats look like, and what these calls were, because she's like, oh, I got a Zoom call, and it was more of a curiosity. That's how it all started. And I dipped my toe in the water by getting on a Zoom call with the conscious bro himself, Jordan Bowditch, who's located out of just outside of Austin, Texas. And that's where Sex and Love Co. with his wife, Alexa. And I got on a Zoom call with him, and it was just this guy bullshitting on a Zoom. And it was, what are you looking to do? What do what's going on with your life? And at that point, I'm just like looking at him. I'm like, I don't fucking know you, and this is just kind of weird. He's like, what kind of books do you read? I'm like, I don't read books. Like, I'm sports and comedy shows, sports and comedies, like, give me those. And it just, talking to him more and more was just like, you are the same person as me, but he's just more well aware of who he is. So shout out to Jordan, because he has been my creator so far and the only person that I've worked with. So I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, it was just a weird start. He got me to download an Audible book, and it sat there for a month, month and a half, 2 months, and my personal journey kind of started with me with a job change. I made a huge leap in my life and dropped what I had and went with I'll just kind of say it. I was in the delivery business for the last 6 years, working with FedEx, and then actually this will make a full year of me being a real estate agent. I jumped in, had no experience in sales like this before, but it was just been a passion of mine, of thinking that I loved the aspect of helping people with buying and selling homes. I loved the process when I was looking for my first house, and to where when Rachel and I were looking for our first home together, I loved it. I just loved every process of it. And it was just something that I was like, you know what, I can make this a living. I can do this. And so it's been a full year so far. Actually, February will be the full year, but everything has been phenomenal. So actually, the first time I jumped into a men's group was about September of last year. I'd say September of last year was when I decided to jump into my first men's group, which only consisted of Zoom calls once a week, and you jump on a Zoom call and there's, I think we had up to close to 10 guys, and some of them, already being in the journey, already starting their journey, to where I'm on there, and anything that was saying, the first time you jump on a call and, it was breath work. What? Okay. What are we doing? And you're just constantly, it's just and then you're sitting there like, God damn, I'm out of breath. And, but it's getting to take that embodiment, and it's just getting to feel that little bit closer to your body when you just think it's heavy breathing and you start getting lightheaded, where it's like, stop thinking so much about that. Be more in tune with what you're doing and just let it settle. And it was kind of more just like that initial impact on like, whoa, this is a little different here for sure. And it was a lot of, right off the bat, it was let's share, and who's willing to share, who's willing to express and open themselves up to really all these strangers that are on Zoom. And me, myself, and I was like, I'm good. Like, I would rather not, I was that first couple calls, I was the last one to speak. I would like just sit there with, you're muted on Zoom and everyone's just staring at each other in the cameras. But then I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. Or if something did come up and I'm just like, no, I'd rather not talk about it, or make it completely just bland, water it down so much that it's like you're not really expressing or saying what you're feeling. You're giving it that watered down version and making yourself feel better, and that's exactly how I went about things for the first couple weeks. And, I'd say the first couple month and a half or so, to where I'm like, I just needed to vanilla it down so much and, ice it down, that to make myself not even say what I want to say, but I'm getting through the process and, going through the motions. So it took more of what was going to happen in my life, and what was going on around that time is that I wanted to make that job change. That was really what was hitting me, and it sparked it. That those calls, whether or not I want to admit it at the moment, I was pushing myself to better my life. And even though I wasn't sharing or I wasn't expressing what I felt, it was inside of me, listening to these words and listening to other men, dealing with the same bullshit with their jobs and dealing with the same bullshit with just problems. It automatically put me into like a fuck yeah mood. Like, you know what? I may not be saying it now, but I'm sure as hell feeling it, which, inspired me to make those actions. And that was only a couple months in. But at the same time, it's almost like the team atmosphere. You're in the huddle on the team, or you're in like that pregame, postgame, huddle, hoorahing it up, fucking rallying each other. And next thing you know, when the game's over with, you're back home. You're like, well, fuck, what am I going to do now? So it's a definitely fears that you experience that you wouldn't think of until you're really digging in deep with these calls. And then I'm just kind of rattling with what's going on in my head at those times. And you as a guy, what's the thing that you just don't ever want to do? Talk about your feelings? Yeah. Check. So it's tough. It's really tough. And when you're being with your spouse or with your loved one, they want to know. They want to be involved. They want to make you feel like you're on the right track. You're on the right track, but then you're just like sitting there kind of like, I'm good. You're back to that again. You're back to that. I'm good. But they don't want to hear that. They want to know. They want to feel the progress. They want to feel the progress in you. And what better way to just express like, I said this, and this is exactly how I'm feeling at the moment. And that's just only going to give them the holy shit. Yeah, I feel that now. I feel that coming out of you, figuratively speaking. So that's just exactly how the men's group started for me. And granted, so many words, so many, book recommendations and, music and, podcasts. And that to me, it all kind of still sat stagnant. It really did. It felt like to where I wasn't quite ready yet to just give it that full deep dive. And I just wasn't ready at all. I'm getting those fuck yeah moments. But at the time, I'm just like, man, I'm going through this job change and I'm, kind of giving up everything at the moment to do what I want to do. I'm going to kind of think about this as I'm going along. I'm not going to really dive in all the way. So as 2022 progressed, it was a slow start. It was a slow start in real estate because, of course, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, and it was great. Middle of the year is when I started getting my stride and started really picking things up and getting that feeling where, this I'm making the right decisions here. I'm making the right decisions. I'm getting myself out there. I'm getting deals done. I'm getting to know everything and ins and outs and blah, blah, blah. And this is the first 6 months of being in real estate. And this feels great. And there's still so much to learn because everything changes in this market. In the real estate market, everything is changing day to day. And coming into, I'd say August was the next men's group that I jumped into. I took a men's group off and I decided to jump into the next one. And it was keeping in that contact as well with Mr. Bowditch, Mr. Conscious Bro himself. Jordan and I kind of connected a couple times. Just a quick, hey, how's it going? How's everything been? Talk to me. And it definitely sparked that interest again to jump into another men's group. So in August, I jumped in, and that's when Jordan actually set up a full-on men's retreat. And I was a hard no. That was a hard no, hard pass. I'm okay. And then it was every call, it was, this retreat's coming up. This retreat's coming up. He's trying not to be the hard pushy salesman, but you got to believe that he's feeding in everything he's got. So it was at the end of a call, and it was what's your inspired action? What's your inspired action? And you know what? That whole call, I was in a fuck yes mood. I was in a fuck yes mood, and at that end of that call, I said, well, goddamn, Jordan, I'm fucking going to be in Austin, Texas for this retreat next month. And he was like, fuck yes. And it was at that point, I told Rachel, I said, I'm going to the retreat because she's already been to 2 or 3. And I'm just, and you listen, and she's coming back and feeling so inspired, and her body and just mind and everything is so clear to her. And I said, it's my fucking turn now. It's my fucking turn for this.
Hey, it's Rachel, and I had to interrupt this episode to tell you about my program called Connected Couple. Danny and I have recently just finished our own couples coaching program, and I am so excited and feeling so called to deliver this to you. This is an experience for couples who are really wanting to get clear on what it is that they desire in their relationship. They want to be able to learn how to communicate that effectively, and ultimately they want to create this intimate life that they are craving to have with one another. This program is truly a transformational process that I am so excited to take couples through. So if you are wanting to create a more spicy and intimate relationship, I urge you to head over to rachelmaine.com, click on the Work With Me tab, and check out this program, Connected Couple. But for now, just keep on listening to this juicy episode.
So it was nerve-wracking as fuck. I don't know any of these dudes. I mean, outside of a square in a fucking Zoom call, I don't know any of these guys. I've never been on a retreat. I don't know what to expect. So everything's set. My flight's set. And then we got group chats because, I had to fly in super early out of Detroit. I was flying in, and I think I was arriving in Austin in Austin at like 11 in the morning. We weren't supposed to be at the retreat house until like 5 p.m. I don't know. I've never been to Texas before. So my first thing was, I need to get a ride, or, I'll Uber somewhere, but I'm just trying to, link up with one of the people and just hang out and for the meantime. And so sure as shit, one of the guys was just stating that he was doing something. And I said, hey, mind if I tag along? I don't know you, but I'll hang out with you because I know we're going to be together for the rest of the weekend. Sure as shit. He was like, yeah, come on in. We'll meet at the airport. Well, I'm only getting there like maybe a half hour before you. And so the first thing too is when you walk up and you see these guys on Zoom, you're expecting, you don't know what to expect to see them in person. I'm over 6 foot, and I'm not a huge person, but I'm a taller than average guy. But then it's like when you walk up and you see these people, and you're like, I don't expect this guy to be that tall. I don't expect this guy to be very big. And it was just funny as hell when you meet that first guy and he's a fucking giant. You're like, holy shit, I did not expect to see that. And when I arrived, there was a couple guys that we met up with, and then we were meeting up with other gentlemen that stayed in downtown Austin. So downtown Austin, I mean, it was a good 15-minute Uber ride from the airport, and we met up, and it was like cool, everyone, but some of these guys have talked outside of the groups and have been on several retreats together, so they've had that connection for years or months, to where I'm just like kind of sneaking my way in and not really talking to anyone outside of the group because I've just never really had that urge to friend these guys. So I spent a couple hours hanging out with these gentlemen, and it's just awesome to meet new guys, new friends, new people, and they're here to do the same thing you are. They're ready to jump in and take this new growth back home to their loved ones and their families. And that's where just the beginning talks, before we're even there, just talking with these guys and just like what they're expecting and what they're trying to bring to the table after this, to where I'm still kind of lost on what I needed to do. But then getting to so we get picked up from another guy who's a local. He's a Austin local. Shout out to Gareth. This guy shows up in like a freaking WW2 freaking truck hauler with just an open truck bed, like with wood benches on the back, and has us 6 guys like jump in the back, and we are on a hour and a half ride to this Airbnb where we're having the retreat. And I'm talking like just on the back of this truck in the freeway going in Texas. And I'm just like, this is fucking great. I'm loving life. This is like my adrenaline's pumping. You're just in the backseat of a truck, like just in the open air, not giving a fuck. And I mean, I'm kind of slow playing this, but we get there, and next thing you know, you're just meeting all these guys that you've seen on camera over the months. And it's just kind of like, holy shit, everyone's here and everyone's ready. And I will not sugarcoat the fact that those 3, well, it's Thursday night and then it's leaving Sunday morning. That time there was probably the most exhilarating shit I've ever gone through in my life. To where there was tears, there was fucking laughs and laughs and laughs. I felt like I grew a fucking foot taller on just like how much I fucking brought back with me. And the inspirational words, oh my God, I can go on and on about all the shit that you can really accumulate as a human being without saying a single fucking word. The shit that you can really build up and completely hide away from everybody and anybody. You just can't do that. You break yourself down after so long. And that's just where your individual life and your life as a husband, as a fiance, significant other, it's just not going to help unless if you are willing to put in the work. And that's exactly what was preached to me. And it wasn't even a preach. It was more like a suggestive fucking thing. And you literally bring it and take it in full on force. And it felt great. It felt great. And really to where the connections that were made were beyond fucking amazing. There are some people that you can look at and you would think that in person, meeting that guy, talking with him without knowing a single fucking thing about him, you'd probably be like, yeah, that guy looks like a fucking dick. Or that guy just seems like I don't know if I'd talk to him. You just don't know. Because just there's so much that people, myself included, I shut myself out of so many people. Because why the fuck does anyone else need to know this? Including Rachel. I'm just shut out of just a lot of emotions. And it really doesn't help anybody. It doesn't. There's no other words that I can express it at this moment than being that person to where you can express your feelings and really just put everything out in front of you and in front of your spouse, your significant other, whoever it may be, it's powerful fucking shit. It's really fucking powerful. And that's really like my biggest take from that retreat is letting the shit go that you know is holding you back. And those are the best way. That's the best way I can put it for my terms. I mean, I'm no wordsmith, but that's just the way that I would really explain it, is letting my shit go. And fully understanding where I need to go from there to better myself, better my abilities as a husband, as a lover, as, you know, a friend. That's the kind of shit that I took from everything. And so going on from there, it was the way I want to express it is like my pants felt tighter. My pants just felt 100% tighter. Just literally getting home and was just like, here I am. This is exactly what I'm coming back with. And this is exactly how I feel about everything going on right now. Even just the text messages that before Rachel and I even seen each other in person, it was like, and we just had like a 2-minute phone call. It was just so liberating to feel that she was so excited about my journey that it made me feel like, God damn, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I just let this go sooner? Because scared, fear, it really fucking puts a number on you. But those people that love you and appreciate you will 100% have your back. So us guys that are, you know, the guys that are thinking about it, or, you know, still have the skepticism, it's all about trusting the process. So it's just some quick encouraging words of anyone that's on that fritz, on that edge. It's about taking those chances and really settling in with who you are. I mean, you know who you want to be, but also it's about who you are, because that's going to dictate exactly where you want to go. And that felt good for me to say that, because I know taking on who I am is going to take me where I want to be. So just some quick hitters for you. Quick hitters. It's always fun to talk about this. And so yeah, and even for me, the post, almost like that, almost like the hangover post retreat. It was it definitely hit a little bit. It's just the first couple of days you feel like you're on top of the world, because everything is just, you're doing everything right. You're making all the right moves, but then it's so easy to drop back into old habits and tendencies that you have just fucking embedded in your fucking brain. And it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard to get rid of that. And that's just not for us guys. That is just a human trait. Once that shit is embedded in your brain, holy fuck, is it hard to get rid of it. So that right there was like the big thing for me, is jumping into traits that I caught onto them. I did. It was so much easier to spot them out, because that right there is just, it's shit that you don't need to do. For me, my biggest tendency was playing games on my phone. It sucks because I can just sit there and be completely ghosted out to the world, and I'm just 2 feet away from you. And it sucked. It sucked. I was bad at it. I was terrible. I'd spend so much time, basically thinking it was time wasters when it really was just like fucking mind numbing just to get through the day when I could just be doing so much more. And so that was my biggest thing. That was my biggest takeaway, was just being more present in life, more present with Rachel, my wife, because who the fuck wants to sit next to a zombie? So yeah, that was my big takeaway from a lot of things, was being more present in life and being more present with my lady. Because that just right there, it's such a game changer. Such a game changer to be with them and really kind of taking your relationship even farther. So that was just my biggest thing, and I don't know, trying to think of what else I really can kind of start you with, because again, I'm very new to all this, and with the help of, with the kind of the inspiration and the motivation with Rachel to get me going with this, and kind of seeing her journey in the way that it inspired me, it kind of gave me that fucking kickstart to, like I said, the curiosity. It's such a thing that in life, to where when I'm just thinking about of everything that she's doing, and then I'm sitting there kind of like bump on the log, why not give it that shot? Because money's going to come and go. These experiences are fucking crazy to go through. And it's a breakout of fucking emotions. And it just hits you in every fucking angle of your body. It's exhausting, but it's every bit of rewarding. So to any of those guys out there, anybody that's looking to get that work in, holy shit, I know that Rachel has plenty of recommendations, but my biggest is, my conscious bro himself, Jordan Bowditch, to get her started. And without him, I'd still be sitting there. But it's definitely been the biggest move in my life, and so far, just getting the work started, and there's so much more that needs to be done. You can honestly continue in this on, and just, I really couldn't explain any more than that, because that's exactly where I'm sitting. So to not leave anybody on a hanger there, I would just recommend any of that work to just get started, or even book reading. Any recommendations for books or audibles, or even the podcast. Even if you don't take anything out of my podcast here, because I'm just rambling on about what I did for a weekend, or please take the time to get yourself that audible. I'm sure that we can get plenty of recommendations out there of just what's out there, podcasts of just listening in on this kind of stuff, because even the ones that don't think about it at all, still have that curiosity. You can't tell me you don't. So outside of that, everybody, I thank you for the time. And again, thank you for listening to Owning Your Sexual Self. And everybody have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you really fucking loved it, make sure to tag me on social media at @TheRachelMain. I'll see you next week.